If you've ever just disappeared from everyone's life, stopped replying, stopped showing up, this isn't random. It means your brain has already figured something out, something most people are too uncomfortable to actually admit. Hey, I'm Alex, and for most of my life, I was the person everyone called when things went wrong. Like I'd answer at 2 a.m., cancel my own plans, sit there listening to the same problems on repeat. But when I needed someone, silence. Maybe a "that sucks" text if I was lucky. I kept telling myself they cared until one day I just stopped reaching out. And the weird part? Nothing fell apart. That's when it hit me. I wasn't afraid of losing people. I was losing myself trying to keep them. So here's where it gets interesting. Because people think cutting everyone off is this impulsive thing. Like you just wake up one day and go, yeah, I'm done with everyone. But it's not like that. It builds slowly, quietly. And it usually starts with something small, like a moment no one else would even notice. But it sticks with you. Maybe it's the fifth time you open up and they barely react. Or you realize no one actually knows what you're going through, even though you're always there for them. And your brain starts doing this thing in the background. It starts keeping score. Not in an obvious way, but it's there. Every time you show up. Every time they don't. Every time you give. And it's not returned. Until eventually you can't ignore it anymore. And you might even ask yourself, why didn't I see this sooner? Because honestly, you weren't operating on reality. You were operating on loyalty. You stayed because of history. Because you've known them forever. Because that's just how relationships work, right? But then something shifts. And once it shifts, you can't unsee it. You start noticing something kind of uncomfortable. A lot of your relationships only exist because you're the one holding them together. You're the one reaching out, making plans, checking in. And the second you stop, they disappear. That's usually the moment everything clicks. Not anger, not some dramatic fight, just clarity. And this is the part most people don't really get. This isn't just emotional, it's your brain. Your brain is constantly scanning for safety. And if you've spent years feeling drained, overlooked, or just not valued, your nervous system starts tagging those interactions as unsafe. So it adapts. It basically says, okay, if this keeps hurting you, we're done. And suddenly, distance doesn't feel scary anymore. It feels like relief. That's why when you cut people off, you don't feel how everyone expects you to. They think you're going to be lonely, regretful, like you made some big mistake. But instead, you feel lighter, calmer, like you can finally breathe properly because, yeah, from the outside, it looks like you lost everything. But from your side, it feels like you finally stopped losing yourself. And honestly, if any of this is hitting close to home, if it's making things click a little, it would mean a lot if you subscribed. This is exactly the kind of stuff we dig into on this channel, and there's a lot more where this came from. And this usually goes deeper than people realize. This didn't just start now, it started way earlier. If you grew up being the one who had to read the room, manage everyone's emotions, or just felt like your needs weren't really that important, you learned something without even realizing it. That your role is to give, not receive. So you became the reliable one, the listener, the one who has it together. And people got used to that version of you. But here's the problem. When you never show your limits, people assume you don't have any. So the cycle just keeps going. You give more. They take more. You stay quiet. Until one day, you're just done. And instead of slowly setting boundaries, you do the opposite. You remove everyone. And yeah, some people will call that avoidance. But honestly, sometimes it's the first real boundary you've ever set. And if this is feeling a little too accurate right now, you're probably starting to notice patterns most people never stop to look at. Now, here's the part no one really warns you about. When you cut everyone off, you don't just lose people. You lose your sense of identity too, like, who are you without being the reliable one? Without being needed all the time? There's this weird gap, and it's uncomfortable. A lot of people go back at this point, not because things were actually good, but because they were familiar. But if you don't go back, something actually changes. You start figuring out who you are when you're not performing, when you're not managing everyone, when you're just you. And for the first time, your energy is actually yours. But yeah, there's a hard truth in here. You probably cut off a few people who didn't deserve it. Not everyone was the problem. But when you're that exhausted, you're not thinking about exceptions. You're just trying to get out. And that's the trade-off. Protection can turn into isolation if you're not careful. So the real question becomes, is this just a phase? Or is this who you're becoming? Because peace can be a little addictive. And when nothing drains you anymore, you start avoiding anything that might. Your life gets calmer, but also smaller. And here's the truth. Most people miss. You don't actually need more people. You need safer people. One real connection is worth more than 10 draining ones. So no, cutting everyone off doesn't mean you're cold. It doesn't mean something's wrong with you. Most of the time, it just means you cared too much for too long, without getting the same back. And for once, you chose yourself. That's not isolation, that's awareness. If this made you think about things a little differently, subscribe, because that's what this channel is really about. The goal was never to cut everyone off forever. It's to build connections that don't cost you who you are.